Should I start?
Yeah, I'll just introduce you once again. So whoever is new or whoever didn't attend previous events, Kshitij is a super cool guy who does designing and all of that. He is working for Microsoft. He has previously worked at Coca-Cola and FamPay as well. Interned at Coca-Cola and FamPay. He's a student at IIIT Delhi. And he's also taken two cohort-based courses on Bluelearn's platform. So really, really experienced guy. One you should definitely learn from. And yeah, over to you, Kshitij.
Sure. Thank you for introducing me. I'll quickly just show you a little bit more about myself. Let me know if the slides are moving.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, cool. So, as Viraj already introduced, I've previously interned at Microsoft Coca-Cola and FamPay, and I also won a Microsoft Design Challenge through which I had gotten the internship. And currently, I'm a senior at IIIT Delhi, pursuing computer science and design. And I also had been selected for a digital product school based in Munich. So that's something that we can also talk about in this session today. But yeah, so in the last session, somebody asked me what is the worst project you've worked on, and that question was something that I would have thought about before, but it's something that like I did not give a really good answer, and I think most of you had left by that time when it was asked. So I wanted to start this session with that only. Give me one. Yeah, I wanted to start this session with that worst project, the worst project that I've ever worked on. And this worst project is something I don't personally hate, but I'm really embarrassed about. And it's just one of those that you don't want to revisit again and again. But so this is probably the first and the last time I'll be showing it. But yeah, get ready to scar your eyes. So this is the project that I worked on. The reason I'm bringing it up here is because this first project was actually a part of Designathon. I had participated in a Designathon, and I had created this application based on, there was a problem theme based on creating a reading habit among people. So that's the application. And this is like the design that we had created. Is super, super embarrassing. But yeah, so I just wanted to, the reason I brought it up as well is because the project that you have in this internship is probably going to be the one that starts you off in your journey as a designer. And if this is your first hackathon, first designathon, don't be embarrassed about your project. It's like just a stepping stone, and you'll probably go really far as you keep on designing and you keep on practicing. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't matter if I'm pretty sure most of your designs, I've seen a few, are better than this design that you see in front of you. So you're anyways good to go in the future. Anyways, moving on. So today I'll be talking about how you can create a portfolio, like what's the next step after you have this project. How do you actually present it to people? How do you keep on practicing further? Then once you have this project, how do you go forward towards applying for internships, and what all careers are there on as a designer, and a few goodies at the end that I'll talk about, but that's for the end, nothing more on that now. Okay, so portfolio is a portfolio. Why everyone in the design world, why everyone's talking about a portfolio is because it's like a resume for you. So designers have a GitHub page and they have coding projects to showcase, but in the design world, these are the projects that you want to showcase. So the number one goal as a story, the number one goal of your portfolio, the case studies that you have, should be that you need to tell a story about it. You need to tell the design process that went into it, what were some difficulties that you faced, what were some things that you learned, and don't just focus on the end product, because the end goal, the final UI that you have created, that's not what's going to probably get you an internship or a career in design. You need to be a storyteller. You need to showcase your design really well. And the line that I really like, I got this from somewhere, I don't remember where, is how do you actually define a portfolio? So a portfolio should be a book with chapters for each project. So each project is a chapter. It's telling a story. It has depth in each chapter. It has depth, and it's not just a photo of one particular UI that you created. You need to tell that complete story. And I'm emphasizing on story again and again because even in my previous internship at Microsoft, that's the one thing that everyone focused on. Like during my project, even throughout the 2 months, my mentor kept on emphasizing that storytelling is very important, and I was many a times iterating on the final presentation that I was going to give to the Microsoft Studio Design Studio. So that thing, the storytelling is very, very important. I think I've emphasized it enough, but you'll get the idea. So your case study, the project you've worked on, you need to create a study. So how do you actually go about doing that? And I'll actually go ahead and give an example of my own project and case study. But the things that you should keep in mind is at the very front, at the very start of your case study, you need to define the objective. And I'll take all the questions at the end. So you can just put them in the chat, but I won't answer them during this presentation. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind is you need to have a straight up objective, like how much time did you spend on the project, what was the project about, a brief overview, and this. So if someone is just scanning through and if someone doesn't want to go into the process, you need to have that solution upfront as well. So those two things are very important to have upfront to give that context as to what will happen in the case study or the design process that you're going to showcase. Then of course you need to go behind the scenes. You want to show the process, because the one thing that people want is the process. Like how did you actually go about creating that? And even if you've been on Instagram pages, it's really great that, okay, it's fancy UIs, great animations, but if you realize the Instagram accounts which show the process, or maybe just have a rough sketches of showing how they went about from point A to point B, that's what intrigues people and that's what gets attention. And they'll probably have many more followers. So that's what you also need to do. You need to showcase that process and the behind the scenes story. And whatever projects you're showcasing, you've defined the process, you've defined an overview, all that is great, but you also need to showcase, like you need to showcase the impact of that project. So if it's a real world project, how has that project helped a company? Whether will it get more users into the company? Will it make the application that you created more engaging for the users? So what impact is it creating? If it's a designathon project in this case, or a personal project, then you need to just go out and research as to what possible scenario there could be, but you need to still showcase what impact it could possibly have and a reasoning behind it as to what impact it would have. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. And throughout the case study and the thing that you're presenting, I've emphasized this enough, but also show your emotions. What went wrong? What was something that you were feeling throughout the process? What were your learnings? That's also something that helps a lot. And if you can showcase that, okay, this is something that I went wrong here and I learned this and I did this the right way thereafter, that shows that you've actually evolved in that project. And that helps a design hiring manager to know you as a person, that you're open to mistakes and you can make yourself better as well. Nobody wants a perfect portfolio, because then it just seems a little fake. So just have that in mind. I'll go ahead and showcase one of my projects. So one of my projects, I had done it as a personal project. It's not associated with any company. At that point, I was trying to build a portfolio of my own and have a project that I wanted to work on. So what I've done is I have a hero image, I have the final solution and a quick overview. And then I've actually gone ahead and explained the context of that problem. Like it was a personal project. It took me 1 month to do it. I was the only person working there. And this was the project overview. These were the target people and anything else. It's like a quick overview for everyone. And also another thing I'd like to mention, since many of you might have worked in teams in this hackathon, in the project, there are two ways of showcasing the project. One is obviously that you go on Behance, create a project together, the study together, and showcase it all together. But that doesn't really work out. What you want to do is, even though you've worked on a group project, showcase and highlight what you did in that project. Like how did you contribute to that project and what did you do in that group? So that is what you need to highlight. And that's what, even if you go for an interview using that case study, that's what they'll ask you. If it's a group project, how did you go about it and what did you contribute? So you need to highlight that again and again. And in the case study, always remember that the hiring managers or the people that are going to go through your case study, they'll probably go through it less than 30 seconds. That's like the upper limit, even less than that. They'll just quickly go and scroll through it. So your headings, your large font size text should actually tell a story in itself. So all the headings that you have, they should be able to tell the complete scenario of that case study. So if that is happening, then it's perfectly fine and you'll be able to do it. And if somebody wants to dive deeper, then you can read the paragraphs that you have or the text that you have. And once you have all this in place, you need to go ahead and divide your project and showcase the steps that you performed. And so this is an old case study of mine, but one thing I learned after this case study and working with companies is that instead of just showcasing, so the first, as a beginner, it's completely fine that you have steps and then you show each process, each phase. But if you want to become a better storyteller, you can actually go ahead and maybe if you have a certain target audience, showcase that case study from their perspective. So let's say if I'm designing an application for a college student, instead of me saying that, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this, I'll tell the story from a college student's perspective that I wake up in the morning, I usually do this. And when I'm doing this part, this is where the application comes into play. So that way, that sense will create that storytelling that you want to achieve. It's not there in this particular case study, but that's what you should be aiming for. So I've already talked about the design process. That's what I've done in this case study as well. I've listed down the how might we question, the feature set, and they're very to the point. I'm not boring them with paragraphs or anything extra. It's just very to the point. And if somebody is scanning through, they can see, okay, I have how might we questions, and these are the questions. And whenever you're designing, also remember that you need to use a lot of white space. Don't try and cramp everything together. So have that case study and showcase the design, the process and the design thinking also. So in this case, I had followed the thumb zone that is there, like how do people interact with their phones? And that's how I positioned that button. That's what I wanted to show. So that's showing that design thinking part of me. And that's how you need to go ahead with your portfolio as well, or your case study. And have different types of solution, have animations and interactions, and have multiple iterations. So let's say you create one solution, then showcase the, okay, why did this solution not work? And then maybe showcase how did you make it better? And then if you go back and forth. So if you show that multiple iterations, it shows that you really invested in that project. And again, animations, a few things. And so that's how you actually go about creating that case study. I'll actually go ahead and, okay, so if you want inspiration, I have 3 links for you all. If you just go to this website, and I've listed them, all of them here. Cofolios is one of my favorites one because it has all the portfolios listed of people not just in India but globally, and they showcase, and the people that are showcasing that portfolio, they've worked at top tech companies. So you get a really great idea as to how other people are showcasing that portfolio. Instead of me just saying about telling you about it, you need to go ahead and observe it yourself. And when you're going through portfolios, maybe just look at the things that you connect with instantly. Maybe you can steal those things and add it to your own portfolio. And that's completely fine. Instead of just stealing from one, you're stealing from multiple sources. One current portfolio that I really liked when I started, or in fact I still do, is Jeremy Stokes' portfolio. If you look at his projects, go into any one of his case study, and you'll really like how he has structured and showcased that story in that case study. So that's definitely something for you to check out. And the 17 design portfolios, that's just something out of the world. That's just something that even I want to achieve, and I haven't been able to do so yet. So definitely check those out. I'll put the links in the chat. Yeah, if you don't want to visit the website, but these are the links. Okay. So how do you actually go about creating that case study? Like, which platform do you use? And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who've talked about different platforms, anyone you can use. I'll go ahead and tell a few, as a designer, which one you can go forward with. So if you want to, if you have a lot of content that you want to show, if you want to show your thinking and you have a lot of things to tell rather than just show, then Medium is the best way to do that. And a lot of designers have their case study on Medium. Dribble is when if you want to be, I'll actually talk about the different careers in design. So it's okay if you don't understand the terms. But dribble is when you want to be a UI designer, interaction designer, and you're showcasing all the animations and the different UIs that there possibly can be. So that's when dribble is good. Alternative to dribble could be Instagram. Instagram is when it's similar. You can actually have carousels there as well to showcase your case study. That's another way you can experiment. Um, but the thing is, as designers, if you want to connect with more designers, you'll probably find them at Dribble, because Instagram isn't the best place to be discovered unless you're really active or really working on that growth strategy. So if that is not the case, you can go ahead and use Dribble. You can create your own website on Notion. It doesn't require any coding. It's a no-code platform, and many designers actually do that. I'll share a link after the session. I don't have it right now, but you can go ahead, and it shows you step-by-step process on how you can create a website and quickly publish it, so that you have a portfolio and you have all the case studies there. If you don't want to use other platforms, that is. And last is Behance. Behance is super great. There are a lot of projects to be inspired from at the in the website, and you can go ahead and create your own Behance case study as well. So there are multiple levels as to creating a Behance case study. So the initial level is actually just having graphics, which you can do on Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma. I would recommend do it on Figma because it's much easier than the other softwares, and you're probably more equipped with after this hackathon. So you can okay, I'll actually show that. So this is like the behind the scene. If you go on Behance and click on any of the images, you'll notice how each page is an actual image. So this image I had created in another software, and Behance is just about putting all the images together. And that's how people create these really fancy, beautiful case studies on Behance. They create it on other software and put them as PNGs on the website. So you have these as like this. And all the animations that you see, those are from, I created them on After Effects, but you can actually do that just prototype animations on Figma and then screen record, and that also works. So there are multiple ways to showcasing your case study on Behance. I'd say it's like a game. It's like level 1 where you have only graphics. Level 2 is where you have those animations as well. And I think that's the 2 levels, yeah. And the thing that you have to remember, I'd just like to emphasize once again, is that the interface part, the final UI that you have created, that's just the middle part of the story. There's the other parts as well, the design thinking that you did before that interfaces, and the after part as well, as to testing it with users and what was their reaction. So all that whole process is what you need to showcase, not just the interface. Any questions? Okay, I'll take up any portfolio questions. You can do animations on Medium as well. So I have a similar case study, Spotify case study on Medium as well, where I'm going much in depth. And the hack of putting animations on Medium is you convert an animation or a video to a GIF and you just upload it as an image. And that's like the best hack. Any questions that anyone wants to ask? So dimension is, you can use an A4 size. That mostly works out. But the thing that I use is 1920 by 1080. 1080 is the height, so you can obviously extend it further, but 1920 as a width. Okay, I'll move on. Can we design a portfolio in WordPress or Adobe Portfolio? You can actually go ahead and design it in WordPress as well. WordPress and Adobe Portfolio is just for you to showcase your designs and your case studies. The material or the meat of your portfolio would be in the case study. So you need to focus on that part first, rather than going ahead and working on the website and the portfolio part. Have the content ready, and then you can go ahead and build a website or anywhere. So the platforms that I showed, those are like the easiest way to showcase your content, and it's content focused rather than you going ahead and working on your website first. Okay, so I'll talk about careers, and then I will come back to more questions during the end of the session. So most questions that I get asked is what's front end development, what's UI design, what's UX design, what's product design, what's interaction design, what are careers there are, do we need to code, and so on, so on. So all that I'll try to explain and put it in a very precise and concise manner. So if you want to be a front developer, this is from a design perspective. I'm not talking about the coding part. If you want to be a front end developer, then from the design point of view, you need to have that mindset in order to be a good front end developer. You need to be able to identify a problem. You need to be able to solve them. You need to understand how design systems work. You need to be able to work on case studies, and you just need to have that a little bit of aesthetic and how you actually go about creating certain UIs and what should be the logic behind them. So all of that you need as a front-end developer. Of course, there's the coding part. I'm not talking about that. But from a design point of view, as a front-end developer, you need a mindset. To be a UI designer, you need the mindset, yes. You also need a portfolio. And for a UI designer specifically, or you could call a UI designer, or a graphic design is also something that you require these two things, is you need that mindset and you need a portfolio which could be on Dribble or Instagram. And it's more that portfolio is more focused on the micro interaction or the aesthetic part. And that's what you need to focus on as a UI designer. The UX, if you want to be a UX researcher, you need to have a mindset, you need to have a portfolio, but that portfolio won't be UI focused or animation focused. It'll be focused on your problem solving skills. So there's a certain there's a certain interview which happens in when you go into an interview. Designers have this whiteboarding session, which is that they give you a problem and then you have to solve it on the spot. So if you solve multiple problems in your portfolio, that also highlights that, okay, you have good thinking skills. You need to focus on the execution, the research part, that you can actually talk to users. And an important part of a UX researcher is that you need to be able to showcase your communication skills as well. And how do you do that? You need to showcase that, okay, you've taken these many interviews, you talk to these many people. This is what I learned from them. I'm able to conduct usability testing with them and so on. So all these three things is what makes a UX researcher. A researcher is not focused on the UI part or how it will look at the end. They're focused on finding a problem and talking to users. And the second, the last career that I want to talk about is UX design or product design. Both of them, in most companies, both of them are similar. In MNCs like Facebook and Apple, I think it varies because a product design so I'll tell you what both of them do. You need a mindset, you need a portfolio of your thinking skills, you need to be good at communication, but you also need a business aspect. And one thing, how it differs from a UX researcher is that business aspect is there, but in your portfolio, you also need to showcase that UI part as the aesthetic and the animation part as well. So if your portfolio will have both the research and the animations. And as a product designer or a UX designer, you need that business part as well. And what's the business part? Is if I'm designing a solution, I'm not just trying to solve the user's problem. I'm also trying to solve the company's problem. So how will this solution help the company? Will it acquire more users? Will it engage the users that already exist? Will it make the process of onboarding or using that application easier? So what is it solving from the company's point of view? That's the business part. And as a product or a UX designer, that's also what you need to understand. Okay. So I mainly use Figma for UI UX design. You can also use Canva to create your designs, but I mean, if you're a designer, I'm not sure why you would want to rely on templates, because if someone's hiring, they'll be quickly able to see through because that this is a template. It's very obvious. And if you've worked in the design field for 1 year, if at just 1 year, you'll be able to realize which software, which design are a template, which you've copied, and which are something that you've created on your own. I use Figma there. That's the 4 careers, but there's a whole lot more careers that I haven't talked about that you can explore. There's CX design, which is not just how that application is connecting with the user, but also how that brand is connecting with the user and what's their experience with the brand itself. And that's very important if you work at MNCs or any startups as well. So that's also something that you can explore. AR designer, VR designer, you might know, augmented reality, virtual reality. There's a career called UX writer as well, where the text that you see on that application, it's a small field. It's not a small field. I'm saying it's a subset of copywriting, which is your content writing or copywriting, and it's essentially that all the screens that you see, all the things that you have on your application, the text, how is that connecting with that user? How do you instantly connect and make it friendly and add that human touch in the text? So that's what a UX writer would do. Graphic designer is using Photoshop and Illustrator, creating graphics. Design system is creating components which can be scaled. So an application can be broken down in certain components. So imagine a company like Microsoft where there are many teams working across the globe, and you want, if if it's a Microsoft Teams application, there's one in Berlin in India, there's one in US. So if these three countries are working together, they all need to design the same application. So you have certain components which are being used in that application, and that's what a system designer, design system designer does. He creates those components and keeps scaling them and makes sure that everyone is using those components only. You can also be an entrepreneur if you have a design mindset, because you're anyways finding problems, you're anyways creating solutions. So that's also an easy transition from design to an entrepreneur. Okay, and one thing last, I think that you should do in an internship, to get an internship, is reach out to people. I think it might have been emphasized in many Bluelearn sessions as well, because that's what has helped many people, many students, and it has helped me a lot personally. You can reach out on LinkedIn, Gmail, Twitter, and ADP list. ADP list is something that I have been using for the past year or so. You can go on the website. There are a lot of mentors there. You can connect with anyone globally, anywhere in any company, and you can schedule a session, get a portfolio review. You can get to know how they work. You can ask any sort of questions, and it's all free. So you can just schedule a session and connect with them. And that's the beauty of design community, that everyone is so helpful, because once you get into design and you connect with other people, I think you'll be addicted to that design community itself, because it's very, very positive and everyone's helping each other out. Twitter is very powerful if you want to get a design gig or just any gigs, because discoverability is very easy on Twitter. It's very easy to get, if you're generating content consistently, it's very easy to go viral on Twitter. Cold email is have a certain template ready on that you want to put out to users or connect with people, have their mail IDs and just mail them randomly. And many a times you'll actually get a response and you'll be able to learn a lot more. LinkedIn is something that I've started before ADP list, and it has helped me a lot. You can get a lot of referrals, you can get a lot of people to connect with you, and you can actually ask your question and doubts. As I've already mentioned, the design community is very powerful. And I'll actually go ahead and show you an example of the Gmail example. So if you go on, right, so this is Felix Lee is the founder of ADP list, and I had randomly just mailed him that I love the program, and there was something that also I wanted to discuss with him. And he actually went ahead and he liked it so much that he posted on Twitter. So what I'm trying to showcase that people actually see your mails and they're very likely to respond to you as well. And it's very, I wouldn't say easy, but it's a simple task that, okay, this is what you have to do and just do it. Don't hesitate and don't hold back just because you might be shy or just because you haven't done it before. Just take that plunge once and it'll become easier as you go along. And okay, so there's the interesting part as well, like how much do designers earn and salary. So I'll discuss that as well. Any questions? Okay, I'll take them after the salary part then. Okay. Oh, somebody asked an interesting question. How do you know you are ready, and how did you get to know that for yourself? I'll tell you one thing that I'm still not sure whether I'm ready or not. like in most of the sessions that I conduct or the course that I take, I do have this imposter syndrome that I'm actually not good enough, and most of the content that I'm doing is probably not going to help you. That's like a very nagging thing in my head. And if you ask my friends, that's something that they'll also tell you. So I don't think you're ever ready. And if you're waiting for that, then I don't think that that stage will ever come. You just have to go ahead and just put yourself out there and not, you obviously, it's just put yourself out there. Just take that plunge. Just seek discomfort. If you've heard it before, you would know where it's from. But yeah, it's just getting out of your comfort zone and just trying it out. But imposter syndrome and knowing whether you're ready or not is very it's not something that you'll achieve at any time soon. I haven't been able to do it, so I'm not sure. And I've heard many designers who have worked 10 years in the industry, they're also posting stuff on Twitter that they have imposter syndrome. So that's completely fine. You don't have to be good in English in order to do well in life or in order to communicate well. I mean, there are so many Indian designers that you can talk to naturally in Hindi if you want. And nobody actually cares how well you're speaking as long as they can understand the question. And if you want, you can so I am an introvert still, and I still have that anxiety when I talk to people. So what I did was, when I went to ADP list, I had this certain set of questions that I wanted to ask. And something that really helped me was I was very honest when I was talking to someone. So let's say if I was actually stuck and I couldn't think of something, I would just say it out loud and tell that person. If and since I started out, I did not know. I do not have that thing that how do you create a conversation and ask questions naturally. That's not something me that I used to do. So I actually have a certain set of question, and I just used to say, okay, wait, I'll just move on to my next question, and I used to look at my paper and ask them that question. It was like one-to-one interaction, but I still got a lot of information. So nobody actually cares how you speak or how you're communicating. It's more about just connecting with that person and extracting all that you can and getting the thing that you need in your life. I think that's what will help you. So these are the salaries that so these are the salaries that I gathered from my friends who worked at these companies or have received offer from them. Flipkart, Sprinkler, all the 5-6 companies that are listed, these are in India, and they pay you like it's obviously. This is not something like that's the average package, but this is the package that companies pay if you are a good designer, if you can apply to these companies. So I'm not saying that, and this is like the average, not the average, but the packages that people receive. So there's obviously potential for you to actually apply. And this is like just the base, and that's just a start. This is for freshers. As you grow as a designer, you'll probably go much higher. And there's no difference between working as a developer in a company and designer. Like in many companies, the salaries are similar. It might be possible that if a company is more tech oriented, they'll have higher salaries for developers, but it'll depend on the company and what their mission is and how their design culture is. But I would say, instead of the package, whenever you're applying, focus on the design culture and not the amount, because the amount won't really get you anywhere, but the design culture can really help you get extract a lot of things out of that internship or the job. And you don't need to listen to me. There's this person called Ramakrishna on Twitter. He conducted a public survey, anonymous public survey, asking the Indian designers on how much they earn. And on the right, you can go to that Twitter thread, and on the right, you can also see that initial packages that people had put in. So for initial packages for people with 0 to 2 years of experience, is 8 to 35 lakhs. 3 to 5 years, 61 to whatever the number is. I can't see it because of this icon, but that's the range. So there's a lot of potential. You don't have to worry that you won't get enough money in design, if that was ever a cause for you. It was for me when I started out. So that's why I like to bring this up. But also remember that these packages were taken anonymously. So it's quite possible many of them might not be, if not honest. There's also some terms and condition that if it's like a 35 lakhs package, the cash that you get will probably be 18 to 20 lakhs, and the rest of it would be stocks or something else, like benefits, perks of that company. So all that stuff has not been mentioned. So just remember that as well, that this is also there. Okay. And yeah, any questions? And the last part is the goodies part. But before, I'll ask any questions if you have anything. I'm not sure how much am I earning, because I'm still in college, so I'm not sure if I'm the right person that you should be comparing with. Okay, so for the Microsoft internship, there was a design competition back in January. It was an all India design competition. Microsoft had launched it, Microsoft Design Challenge, and I think the website name is msdesignchallenge.in. If I'm not mistaken. But if you just go on the website and if you just, I think the competition will be upcoming again in December, January. But I just applied there. I worked on it for 1 month, that whole case study, and I submitted the project and I was selected as one of the winners. And thus I also got an internship at Microsoft. For FamPay, I had actually reached out to them and applied through them, through their career website only. But FamPay was an great experience for me. Like, the design culture is amazing. So that's why I'm emphasizing that don't focus on the money and focus on the design culture. So I'm still learning UI UX design. I wouldn't say I'm a master at UI UX. There's a lot more to learn. But the things that I've learned have mostly been through multiple sources. And it's been over 2 years that I've been, more than 2 years, that I've been exploring and talking to people, and a lot of things that I've gathered. And I'll actually go ahead and explain how you can, if you want, you can get all that stuff that I have in the goodie section. I'll tell you about it. But otherwise, if you don't want to go take that path, there's obviously a lot more content out there. You can definitely go on Google, just keep searching and keep interacting and talking to people. ADP list is free. Go there and talk to people. And if you're not comfortable initially, I completely understand. You can attend their sessions or you can attend group sessions as well. That so that you can ease in that process of talking to people. A website designer. So it depends if you know. So there's this role called UX engineering, and UX engineering is where you're a designer. You work on the prototype part, you work on the thinking part, and you're also working on the HTML, CSS, or the front end part. So it's like code plus design, like a mix of the perfect combination. And that is a legit designer, because I mean, it is a designer and it has a term UX engineering, but I would still say that it's a design, it's a designer and a coder. So yeah. So if you want to look at my Microsoft case study, just go to my Behance or my website, you'll find it there. The problem that I was solving was public transportation and Delhi Metro specifically. I rendered the animation at as GIF. If you want to put it on Medium, as GIF. Even on Behance, as GIF, if you want to put it on Behance. So Mr. Beast asked a really good question. There are multiple times where I have left projects and have not been able to complete projects. There's obviously, it's much easier to start a project than complete a project. That is definitely there. But one thing that I learned was that you have to focus on the progress rather than actually completing a perfect project. And there's this book called Fake Perfection. Obviously the letters are interchanged, but it's really good because it's not just talking, it's not design specific, it's really about life and how you should live life. But you're supposed to focus on the progress. Whatever thing that you're doing, just publish it and keep on growing publicly. That's what it emphasizes. And you don't need the perfect project, you don't need the perfect portfolio, you don't need to be a perfect person. And there's this really great quote that I like. It's distortion has character and perfection is characterless. So that's like, it's something that summarizes everything that I've said. So yeah, definitely check out that book. So I'll go to goodies now. So there's definitely, if you want to learn design and if you want to learn it from me, you can go to this website bit.ly/design-course. This is the Bluelearn website only. If you go to Bluelearn and you'll see the course, you can go to the waitlist part. You just add your name to the waitlist, and once I think the next batch will probably begin in 3 to 4 weeks. Not sure. The pricing is not sure, in fact. So if you want, you can go to the Bluelearn website or this bit.ly/desfly_course. It's a 4-week course. It's 10 classes, 1 to 1.5 hour each. And you can actually go on the Bluelearn YouTube channel. You'll find the demo class there as well. And if you want, there are testimonies in one of those slides as well. So you can look at that as well. If you want to know how the course has been for the previous batches. During the course, throughout the course, I'll be interactive on the WhatsApp group. We'll be talking to each other, and you'll get assignments every week. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, go check out that website. If not, there's another thing that you can do is I've compiled everything that I've learned over the 2 years. And it's like the whole course, everything that I've done, and compile it into a ebook. And you can, it has everything. Like it has the case studies that I really like. It have been inspired by resources, assignments. It has various cheat sheets as well. Like if you're beginning in design, what are the fonts that you should be using so that you don't have to put so much energy into them, the colors, the frameworks that I use. And in fact, if you remember the reach out part that I had mentioned, so I am going to put that there as well, like the sample messages I had sent on LinkedIn, on EDP list, or by email. So that there's a lot more stuff. Just go on that website, bit.ly/desfly_ebook, and you'll find a whole text there explaining what the book is about. And there's a contents page there as well as to what will be inside that book. So you can get that. If you want, you can also get the pre-recorded videos with that book. It's there on the website if you go desfly_ebook. And currently, I'll be launching it on Sunday. But currently, what you can do is you can pre-order it now. And once it launches on Sunday, the money will be taken then only. But you can pre-order it now. And one thing that I've done is every 30 sales, every 30 people that buy the ebook, the price would increase. So if you want it, get it as soon as possible. Yeah. You can just go on Bitly. There's a website, bitly.com, I think. But yeah. So, so what I do is to document my projects. No, so the ebook with videos is 999 rupees, but the ebook is, I think, 249 currently. But as soon as 30 people buy it, the price would increase from 249 to maybe, if it increase 50 rupees, so it becomes 300 and 350 and so on. And accordingly, the course ebook plus videos will accordingly increase like 50 rupees each. So there are two packages. You can get the ebook or you could get the ebook with videos. So Manav, what I do is what I've done is whenever I'm going through a project, even my internship, I document a lot of stuff. I'm not making it perfect. I'm just putting everything that I'm doing, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm taking screenshots, I'm taking connect whenever. So in FamPay, whenever I had meetings, I actually sat down with them and asked them whether I could take a screenshot of that meeting so I can document it later. So as you go, just keep on documenting, putting everything somewhere. I use Notion. And then after you've completed that project, you can sit down and you can either beautify it or you can just post that whole case study project. Which software website did you use to make? So I actually coded my website from scratch using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yes, it is a little daunting to document the undocumented part, but it's very easy since you already have the content, you just have to arrange it. Yeah, so yeah, if you buy the 9999 pack, you'll get the packages. So the videos are about the content. The cold emailing part will be in the ebook. because it's a framework. Like there are sample questions that I can show. I'm not sure how I'll be able to show that in a video, but yeah. So that's the part. Any questions that anyone might have? The book also has a little bit of documentaries that I've really enjoyed, some inspiring stuff. So you can find all that there as well. Yep, the ebook is updated. Like before the launch, before Sunday, everything that I've said and mentioned, everything that's there in the content page will be there on the ebook. Even if you notice the contents page of the ebook, you can see I've clearly mentioned you'll get frameworks of LinkedIn, email, and ADP list. Also, another question that one might ask is how many projects do you need to for a portfolio? A good starting point is 3 projects. Don't put everything there. Initially, yes, you'll end up putting everything, so because you want to showcase your talent and everything that you do. But as you go forward, only showcase the 3 key projects that you want. And a good aim would be that you have a variety of projects. So in my case, I have one focus on the business side more. I have one focused more on the research side. So that's like the 2 of my key projects. And another is just a competition project. So if you can show a little bit of variation in the top 3 case studies, it'll really help you stand out. There's no particular length that your case study has to be this long. It's completely up to you as a designer, but I would say what I initially mentioned, have a project, have your design process, and have different things that I already mentioned, have all of that there. So I've actually, in my ebook as well, I've compared all the design tools which one you can use, but I always recommend everyone to use Figma. It's my personal preference because you have a community, you have great plugins on Figma that you can use, and the collaboration on Figma is much better as compared to Adobe XD. And both are free, so it doesn't really matter. I personally prefer Figma a lot more than XD. If you want to pursue full-time UI UX designer, would you recommend computer science engineering or UX engineering? So I don't think there's a course in India focused on UX engineering. It's either you go for a BDes, which is design, or you could go for a BTech, which is computer science. UX engineering is a field that roles that companies hire, but it's not a course in a college. I don't think there is, at least I'm not aware of. There might be. So you don't need to you don't convert your Figma files directly to CSS. Whenever you're designing on Figma, you'll actually find on the top and right side, top right, you'll find a button which says inspect. And if you go inside that, you'll see the CSS code of a particular screen that you've created, not the whole file. So you can copy that whenever you're designing. So Bluelearn YouTube channel, go to that if you want to see the recorded session, the hackathon session. If we're talking about the ebook packages, there's the website that I mentioned, Testfly. I had shown previously. All the recorded sessions will be there and you'll get access to that. Yeah, Bluelearn/YouTube for all the hackathon sessions and all the demo class also that I've done previously. Time is very debatable, Danish. Like how much time do you need to learn UI UX? It completely depends on how much dedicated you are and how much you want to do. Like how much are you willing to do and go for it? This is the website. You won't find, so this has been currently limited to course students. And so if you go and explore, most of the content will be logged, but if you go on courses, you'll find all the videos there. And rest of the thing I'm still building. I haven't been able to complete it, but you'll get access to it. And as of when I build it, you won't have to pay anything extra. You'll just have everything there. So yeah, that's still ongoing now. If I were being, that's what I also mentioned, that you need to focus on the progress part and not being perfect. Yep. Mr. Beast, yes. Okay, I think Viraj, we can wind up the class. I don't think anyone
Yeah,
has
sure.
any more questions.
Sure. Um, cool. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thanks for doing this, Kshitij. Do tune in for the 9 p.m.s. Yeah, do tune in for the 9 p.m.s pitch session with the top 10 teams. We'll see you guys there.